dot, 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 dash, 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 dot, dot, dot. For any amateur radio operators, you'll know that I just transmitted the Morse code for S.O.S. If you don't know what Morse code is, it's a means of transmitting information where each character is represented by a unique sequence of dots and dashes. You may remember the Canadian Heritage video regarding the Great Halifax explosion as an ammunition ship on fire approached Pier 6, and the radio operator, rather than running with the rest of the citizens away from the harbor, put his life on the line to stay behind to send a distress signal to the inbound passenger train from Thorough, Nova Scotia. It was the worst man-made blast on Canadian soil to date, and on December 6, 1917, Halifax was destroyed. 9,000 were wounded, 2,000 dead, including the train dispatcher. But thanks to the heroic actions, the 700 passengers on train number 10 were saved, all because of a unique series of dots and dashes developed in 1836 by the American artist Samuel F.B. Morse. To get time right, you have to start in the present and move to the future. In order to remember something, it must have occurred in the past to be brought to the present time. We will all be remembered sometime in the future by the information we transmit through our actions and our words. Earlier this year, I was experiencing incredible turmoil as it related to my personal energy. Even though I felt on the verge of a breakthrough, I just wasn't sure what I was supposed to be. I created my company with the vision of telling the story where money meets morality, but I found myself lost. I realized then, however, that being lost can be a turning point of finding out who you truly are and what you truly want to become. Around that same time, I was interviewed for a radio show in Phoenix concerning one of my projects I have on the go, and in the middle of the interview, the host asked me, "What is your great story?" By definition, your great story is a story of emotional authenticity, responsibility, and magic. It's a story of self-discovery and embracing the power within you to co-create with your divine source and let yourself be loved. It's a story of discovering love, the love within you, the love around you, the love that is the highest truth of life. The specifics of your great story come alive as you begin to find the seeds of greatness that are hidden within the challenges and hurdles constructed for your journey. There is a sacred alignment that occurs at the intersection of your passion, born out of your victim story, your triumph, your overcoming story, and your grace, the gifts and talents that naturally flow from you. It is in this alignment that you can begin to find your great story. The question is meant to expand the conscious, but as I started to answer what is my great story, I paused and then broke down in tears on the air. You see, I started my company as a way of sharing my father's story, but that's not my unique story, that's my father's. My father's story created a legacy of love that impacted greatly on me, but that is only part of my unique story. You see, my father, a man with a grade 6 education who was disabled my entire life, passed away due to cancer, but he left an enduring legacy to the people he loved and the causes he cared about. And on March 17th, 2010, I stood at his funeral to deliver the eulogy on behalf of my family, where I shared a most beautiful poem called The Dash by Linda Ellis. It goes like this. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on her casket from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of her birth, and he spoke the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time she spent alive on earth, and now only those who loved her know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live in love and how we spend our dash. My father's dash taught me the important lessons of life, but it is my own dash that actually tests whether I've learned anything or not. I don't believe my father's story is more important than mine, and really, my unique story is made up of parts of his and then my own as well. Dad was born and raised to a farming family and was teased and made fun of in school as being the little fat farmer. In his teens and adolescent years, he resorted to drinking to numb his demons. Although my siblings, who are 13, 14, and 15 years older than I am, had a very different upbringing, a few years before I was born, my father joined Alcoholics Anonymous and quit drinking. I never saw my father drink. Shortly after I was born, he was injured at work and was off on disability for the rest of his life. I grew up with a stay-at-home dad, which I loved. However, the pattern repeated itself as I was bullied at school. I learned to deal in my own way, and as soon as the opportunity presented itself, I moved as far away as possible to go to school where I could have a fresh start and create a new identity. To ensure that I didn't have to face bullying again, I got involved in as many activities as possible and never learned to say no when asked to do something. I believed that if I helped and served others, people would like me. Unfortunately, as I realized, I have spent almost my entire life wanting to be accepted and included to compensate for not being included as a kid. What is even worse about this behavior is that desire to be included and liked sets a person up to be taken advantage of and exposed to further bullying as an adult. Within the challenges we overcome, we find the lessons we came to learn in this lifetime, our own personal triumph, which is in essence becomes the seed of a belief to lead to our own great story. Because I have experienced bullying my entire life, I am passionate about speaking the truth on behalf of the individuals who have no voice in our society. I have experienced many ups and downs in my life, enough where friends admire my resolve to keep getting up and facing the world. But it really has been the ongoing process of growing, learning, changing, developing awareness, and becoming authentic through facing challenges and forging strengths. Dad didn't care what other people thought of him. He cared about what he thought and what God thought, because he knew that at the end of time, there would only be one person to judge his actions on earth: God. The challenge I have faced over and over again is wasting energy worrying about what others think of me. I now know I am liked and respected by those who really know me. I feel a sense of triumph around my own self-worth. George Martin, the former engineer of the Beatles, who also created the Cirque du Soleil show Love, once said, "The power to move people to tears, to laughter, to violence, to sympathy, and yes, to action is one of the strongest human attributes that any person can have." We all have the opportunity, the ability, the position in society to be good, to be a force for positive, to be the person who has the ability to share with others that they can be in control of their life. We get to decide how we are going to use our dash. Coincidentally, my father's name was Thomas. My middle name is Thomas. The Morse code for the letter T is a dash. I use my middle initial T in everything I sign, as it is a reminder that everything is possible, and it is our roles to build that sense up in others. You can change the world one positive conversation at a time, and no matter what, learn from me. Do not let anyone diminish your value or your importance. That beautiful poem finishes as, "So think about this long and hard. Are there things you would like to change? For you never know how much time is left that still can be rearranged. If we can just slow down enough to consider what is true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel, be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we have never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash?"